Right. Well, let's do a little bit of breathing to start off this morning. The weather's getting a little more humid, so I know for some people that presents a little bit of a challenge with breathing. So more important than ever to work on that breath in through the nose and out through the nose if you can, but out through pursed lips if you feel like you need to get a little bit more breath out. It's also not a bad idea if you're out doing some gardening or whatever to wear a mask. Filter out things a little bit more for you. All right? So sit up nice and tall. Have your feet right underneath your knees. Come right to the front edge of your chair. So you want to use your back muscles, not the back of the chair. The back of the chair is strong, I promise. It's our back muscles we need to work on a little bit. So let's just roll the shoulders a couple of times. Yeah. And then get those shoulder tops away from the ears a little bit. Just kind of push down a little bit on the shoulder tops. And then notice where your head is in space. Is your chin lifted up? Can you tuck your chin in a little bit? Imagine you've got a book on the top of your head and you're trying to balance that book and not let it fall. And then close your eyes if that feels okay. And if having your eyes closed doesn't feel all right, you can just drop your gaze down at the floor. And notice the way you're breathing this morning. Are you having any difficulty with breath? Is your breath fast or slow? Is it shallow or deep? Is there a sound to your breath? So sometimes we can hear the breath, right? Especially if it's a little bit labored or if the nostrils are a little bit blocked. And then let's start to consciously deepen the breathing. So when you breathe in, notice how long it takes you to breathe in and see if you can elongate that a little bit more. So you want to just exaggerate that inhale a little bit. And the same thing with the exhale. So notice what your normal, quote unquote, normal exhale is, or your natural exhale. And then see if you can lengthen that a little bit as well. Now, a little tip on the exhalation. To lengthen your exhalation, you're going to engage your belly muscles. So if you pull your belly muscles in, you'll feel that exhalation. You'll feel that extra little push on the exhalation. And see if you can notice that your breath is going all the way from your belly button to your collarbones. So on the breath in, can you feel an expansion? Again, from the belly button all the way to the collarbones. And on the exhalation, can you feel a little bit of a contraction from the belly button to the collarbones? And as you're expanding your breath, are you creating tension like in your hands or your arms or in your feet, your legs, maybe in your shoulders? So can you simultaneously relax the tension in your body as you continue to create fuller, deeper breaths? And notice the effect of this breathing on your mind. So perhaps you're noticing that you feel more present, more aware. Maybe you're more aware of your body. Maybe you're more aware of being in a room with other people, hearing sounds. Focusing on breath is one way to calm a really active mind. And for many of us, the way things are in the world today, an active mind seems kind of normal. We've become accustomed to it. But it doesn't always have to be that way. So the next time you take in a breath, take in a nice big breath, and then take in another breath, and then let it out with a sigh. I'm going to do that 2 more times. So take in a nice big breath, and another in-breath, And then let it out with a sigh. And last time, big breath in, another breath in, and out with a sigh. Go back to your natural breath, moving in and out through your nose. Let your eyes gently open. And without lifting your hands from your lap, lift your thumbs up and place them down. So we're just going to lift and lower the thumbs. Just lifting and lowering thumbs. Keeping the shoulders above the hips and the head is lifted up nice and tall. Yep. And then let's move to the first finger. So just the first finger lifts up and down. Just notice what that feels like, a little tap on your legs. And then holding that finger down, go to the next finger. Try not to lift the other fingers. So we're just doing that second finger. And then go to the third finger, which would be your ring finger. So again, trying not to lift the other fingers. And that can be hard because the second and third fingers kind of go together. They're peanut butter and jelly. And then let that finger come down, and then the last finger, the baby finger, little finger. Okay, and then let that go and lift your hands and start to squeeze and extend through the fingers. Breathing in, breathing out. So we have this nice flow of air in and out. And then as you're extending, I want you to extend your arms, right? And then as you're bending, pull back. So we're just going to do this little movement here. Again, inhaling and exhaling, doesn't matter when you breathe in, when you breathe out. And then see if you can get a little more wrist action in there, right? So when you come out, flex at your wrists, and when you come in, just kind of pull the wrists down. So actually I said it wrong. When you press out, you're going to extend at your wrists. And when you come back, you're going to flex. So you're trying to bring your knuckles to your arms when you come back, boom, and then trying to push away. Keep your hands below your shoulders, right? So sometimes we do this and we get way up here, and then the poor shoulders get all scrunchy. Okay, so the next time you have your hands in, we're going to hold here. So you've got like your knuckles are trying to get to your arms, right? So it's kind of in this little movement here. And then we're going to circle around at the wrists. So we get the elbows in really tight, and we're circling around at the wrists, and we're breathing, right? So the elbows are in, and then circle the other way. Good. And then take the hands out. We're going to extend. Good. And same thing, we're going to circle around. So keep your fingers extended. Try to make this movement mostly from your wrists. You'll notice that your elbows turn a little bit, maybe your shoulders turn a little bit, and then reverse direction. So warming up all the little muscles here. Good. And then let's take the right hand, extend it out, pull back on your fingers, pulling back. So if your elbow is straight, you might feel a stretch up into the upper arm, so above the elbow. If your elbow is bent, you might feel it more in the forearm. So play with that a little bit. Give it a little bit of a bend and then a little bit of an extend. And just notice what position gives you the most sensation, right? So when you identify which position gives you the most sensation, you're going to stay with that position, right? So like for me this morning on this side, I'm feeling a little more up above the elbow, so I'm going to keep my elbow straight, and that way I'm getting a little bit more there. Good, and then let that go, and we'll go to the other side. So left hand. So we're just kind of checking it out. So keep the hand again below the shoulder. So if your hand is way up here, you're going to be really recruiting those shoulder muscles. So once again, just give a little bit of a bend. What does that feel like? A little bit of an extend. What gives you the most sensation? And it's going to be in a different place, perhaps, than the other side. And then decide where you want to be. So on this side for me this morning, I want a little bend in my elbow because I'm feeling a little tightness in my wrist. And with my elbow bent, I'm getting more stretch in my wrist. When I straighten my elbow, it comes up here. So I want to work my wrist a little bit. That's the nice thing about this. It changes all the time, right? So I can say, well, today this is how it's feeling, or later today maybe it's a little bit different. Breathing in, breathing out, and then releasing that and kind of circling that around. Excellent. Let's take the right hand and press the fingers down. Again, keeping the hand below the shoulder, and straighten your elbow. And then a little bit of a bend, right? So when I bend, I feel more in the wrist. When I straighten, I'm feeling more in the elbow. I don't know about you guys, but my elbows are always begging for more stretching. So I'm going to keep mine extended here just because that's what my body is saying it needs right now. And then let that go, and we'll go to the other side. So bringing the fingers down. Good. And again, just check it out. Bend and extend. What feels good? Maybe it's different. Maybe it's the same. So do that a couple times, then pick. Right? Okay, this gives me more sensation, I'm going to stay here. Or this gives me more sensation, I'm going to stay here. So whichever it is. And remember, you're not pressing on your fingers, right? You're pressing on the back of your hand. You're pressing up here as opposed to on the fingers, because we don't want to overstretch the fingers. Good. Couple more breaths. Relax those shoulders, guys. Relax your face. Everybody's really concentrating on this. Wow. All right, and then let that go. Circle around. Wrists and elbows have a little bit of work here. Let's take the arms out to the side. So keep your arms below your shoulders. Again, now if you've got a shoulder issue or an elbow issue, just kind of be mindful. You can always go even lower. You could even go way down here if that feels a little bit better. So we're just going to kind of hold out here. Reach out through your right fingers like you could touch the wall on the right side of the room. And then reach out through your left fingers like you could touch the wall on the other side of the room. Okay, and now we're just going to do a little bit of turning here. So take your thumbs are like the rudder, right? So we're going to turn the hands so the thumbs are going down toward the floor, and then keep turning, almost as if you could get the palms of your hands up toward the ceiling. And some of you might be able to do that. And then keep breathing, and we're going to turn the other way. So the thumbs are leading, and they're coming back. So can you get it so that like the palms of your hands could face the back of the room? So we're just going forward and back. And feel that rotation. It's happening not just at the hand and the wrist and the elbow, but it's coming all the way up to the shoulder. So again, if you've got a shoulder issue, something really kind of bothering you, come down here. This is going to be a whole lot easier to manage with a kind of a tweaky or a little funky shoulder this morning. So we don't want to aggravate something, right? But if you can, keep your arms up at just about shoulder height or slightly below. We just don't want to be way up here, right? So we don't want to create more tension in the shoulders. Notice how fun this is. Right? Who knew turning your arms could be so hard? Yeah. So keep reaching, right? So you're reaching through the right, you're reaching through the left, you're getting longer. So your arms are getting longer. Good. How about 2 more? Can we do 2 more? We can. Barely. I'll take it. Okay. When you've reached that second one, I want you to just lower your arms down. Don't put them on your lap. Let them hang down by your sides. Close your eyes. And feel how your fingers are just about touching the floor. Right? Those arms are so long right now. Take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. Awesome. Let's roll those shoulders forward, up, back, and down. That was a sigh that was like, thank goodness we're done with that. Wow. All right. So left hand can rest on your lap. We're going to lift that right elbow up and around. So we're getting a little more shoulder action. Again, funky shoulder, come down here. Draw your circles on the floor. If you can draw your circles on the wall, do that. Remember to breathe. Try not to hold your breath. Try not to rush through the circles. And the next time your elbow is down or close to your body, you're going to switch direction and go the other way. It's always best to have your elbow tucked in nice and close to your body before you switch direction, because this joint is less stable than other joints. And when that elbow is in, it's a little more stable. Okay, can we do a figure 8? Anybody got an 8 in there? And again, you can do this to the floor if you've got a shoulder that is just cranky this morning, right? So do your figure 8. So it's big on the bottom, small on the top, right? Okay, how about reverse 8? Got it? Breathing? Barely. All right, let's let that go. Let's go right to the other side. So we're getting this left shoulder, and we're leading with this elbow. Again, same thing applies if you've got a shoulder that's not having any of that today. Go right down here to the floor. You can make your circles and 8s on the floor. So breathing in, breathing out. If you can, if you've got the mobility, get a nice big circle in there. And the next time your elbow is in close to your waist, you're going to switch the direction. Go the other way, up and around. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. Okay, how about an 8? Got an 8 in there. Nice 8 in there. Excellent. And a reverse 8. Good. Everybody knows what they're doing, right? Easy, easy, easy. All right, and then let that arm come down. Let's roll the shoulders a couple of times. We're doing a lot with shoulders and arms here this morning. We got one more, and then I promise we'll give the shoulders a little rest. So right elbow, right side of the room, you're going to write cursive your first name. Yeah. Notice how easy that is, right? Your body is like, we don't write like this. And if you have a short name, you're not done. You just keep going, right? So write your name over and over again, right? Don't forget T's, I's, Q's, anything you got to make a little additional thing for, right? Forgot my name for a minute. Okay. Got it. Dot. All right. Let's go to the other side. So you're going to take your left elbow now, write your last name, right? So again, short last name people, you get to do this several times, right? Don't forget T's, I's, Q's, whatever else, if you've got something there. Oh boy. Okay, I'm going to write mine one more time, so you guys got to follow along, right? Don't forget to dot that I. All right. Let's roll those shoulders forward, up, back, and down. Just a couple more times. Close your eyes, relax your shoulders and arms, and I want you to just focus on your breathing. Breathing in and out, noticing belly to collarbones, and noticing the arms and shoulders, noticing what you feel in the arms and shoulders. Some warmth in there. There might be some tingling in there. There might be a little bit of like awakeness in there, right? So it's all sensation. And we sometimes confuse sensation with pain, right? So I don't feel anything there, it's good. If I feel something, it's bad. That's not always the case. So let's take a deep breath in, another breath in, and let it out with a sigh. Eyes open. Good. Moving right down to the feet. So we're going to give the elbows and the shoulders and the wrists a little bit of a break here. So if you have your shoes on, you want to take them off, give those toes a little bit of freedom down there. If you got your socks on and you want to take those off, you're welcome to do that. So keeping the balls of your feet on the floor and your heels on the floor. So it's like you got a tripod, right? So you got the one point of the tripod is here, that's the second point, and that's the third point. So you're going to keep all 3 points of each foot on the floor, and you're going to lift all of your toes up. Lift them all up. Now if you're barefoot, look down at your toes and see how much space you have between the big toe and the second one. Not much. And then what about the second to the third to the fourth to the fifth? Like how much space do you have in there, right? And is it the same on the right side and the left side? Does it feel the same? Quite often not. So now we're just going to place all the toes down, press down into the bottoms of all 4 of your small toes and lift just your big toes. And then lower that down. So we're going to do that over and over again. So we're lifting those big toes. Now you're not lifting with your knees. In other words, you're not bringing your knees out like that to get the big toes off the floor, right? So the knees stay stable. I know all the tricks. I know all the tricks. So we're just lifting those big toes. We're trying to get those extensor muscles in the top of the foot, especially this one right here. We're trying to get those muscles to work a little bit more. And your big toes are unique, right? So your little toes, they're all just digits, right? They're at the ends of the toes. This part of the toes that you can see called your phalanges. So they're all like one group. They're just digits. Your big toe actually has its own name. Did you know that? It's your hallucis. It's called hallucis. Hal for short, right? So the big toe is Hal. So Hal is the only guy that has his own name. Everybody else is kind of in a group. So lift and lower Hal. Breathing in, breathing out, because that might have stopped. Okay, and then lowering down. So you might notice that Hal's a little more awake, right? You might notice that he's there. So lift all your toes now, keeping your tripods down, right? So tripods, 2 here and 1 there. Tripods down, lifting all the toes. Spread them out a little bit. And now see if you can press Hal down into the floor and then lift him up. And press down and lift up. Now this might be harder for some folks to do. How many of you are finding this harder? Yeah. Yeah, a little harder. So pressing down and lifting up. And watch how those other toes want to go along for the ride, right? So if you have the flexibility to lean forward, you might actually just reach down and hold on to those 4 little toes as you press Hal down and then lift him back up. That can just start to recondition a little bit. So you're lifting all the little toes and you're pressing just the big toe down. Is it going any better? Not so much. It takes a bit, right? All right, and then relax all that.
More space between the toes now than there was when we started all this toe stuff.
Like months ago?
Right.
Yes.
More space now.
Good, good. That's what we're aiming for, is more space between the toes, right? So independence for the toes. How are your toes feeling now? You're more aware of them? Yeah, it's interesting, right? So now let's keep Hal on the floor. So the big toe is on the floor. You're going to press down like you're trying to stand up on your big toe. And then you're going to lift all those little toes up and then lower them down. So we're lifting the little toes and lowering them down. And you're not lifting with your knees. So you're not doing this, right? You got to keep the knees steady, right? So once again, if you are having trouble keeping the big toe, Hal, on the floor, you can reach down and just give him a little assist. Push down on Hal as you lift those other toes, right? So we're just kind of decoupling that neural pathway that we've developed over a long time that says, oh, all the toes move together all the time. And nobody's breathing, so this would be a good time to breathe, I think. All right, and then relax that. Notice, did your legs get tense? Did your hands get tense? Did you stop breathing? Yes. All right, we got to work on that a lot. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to keep all those little toes on the floor. We're going to go back to lifting Hal and lowering down. Any easier? A little easier, right? Interesting how that works. Okay, and now tripods on the floor. Lift all the toes. Got them all up? Keep the big toe lifted so Hal is staying up in the air and we're pressing all the little toes down. Can be a little harder for folks. Yeah, because we want to lead with that big toe. So just notice how that's going. Again, if you want an assist, you can reach down there, hold Hal up, and press all those little toes down. Breathing in, breathing out. Okay, and then let that go. Whew. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you're right inside your foot and you're looking at all your toes. And just notice what you can see or sense or feel in your toes. Maybe you have more awareness of your big toe. Maybe you have more awareness of some of your little toes. Maybe they still feel like a block altogether. And open your eyes. Okay, we're going to bring the feet in just a little bit so that your heels are just slightly behind your knees. And we're going to lift up onto the toes. So now we're lifting the heels way up on the from the floor and then lowering down. So this may be the right position for your feet, or you need to come in a little more or out a little more. So you want to get the maximum lift that you can, right? So if my feet are way out here, I can only get that high with my heels. If my feet are back here, I can get higher, right? So we're going for the 6-inch stilettos. We're trying to get really up there, right? So breathing in, breathing out. So we're going to keep doing this. Now, if you want a little more resistance here, to build a little more strength in your legs, you're going to come forward and lean on your legs. Let your body weight stay here as you lift and lower. So this is like lifting weights. We're just using our body weight as the weight, right? So your upper body is just totally relaxed on your legs. And you might be noticing, hey, this is significantly harder to do, right? So up and down a few more times. How we doing? We're going to build up those calf muscles this morning. Calf muscles help contribute to your foot mobility, flexibility, strength, all of that, because those calf muscles go down into your feet. Good. Couple more. Excellent. How about one more, and we're going to hold and breathe. And as you're here, see if you can lean forward a little more so more of your weight goes onto your legs. Breathe in, breathe out. Now, can you really slowly lower your heels? Really slowly. It's going to be hard because you're pressing down into your elbows. Your heels are going to want to drop right down to the floor, but keep going down slow, slow, slow. Good, and when you get all the way down there, press yourself up. Let's extend the right leg, keep the left knee bent, lift your toes toward your shin, and then lean forward from your hips. So you're going to keep your back nice and straight, come down and slide your right hand down your right leg as if you could grab your toes. And maybe you can grab your toes, right? So we're stretching that lower leg now. We just worked it and strengthened it, and now we're stretching it. So we're just reaching down. Some of us are going to get maybe halfway down the shin. That's fine. Some of us are going to get to the ankle. Some of us are going to grab that big toe. Whatever works for you is okay. It's the direction we're going in. It's not a goal-oriented kind of thing, right? So breathe in, breathe out. And then slowly come up. Okay, bend that knee, straighten the other one. Same thing. We're just going to come forward, sliding that hand down. So the toes keep reaching toward the shin. So don't let your foot point like that. You want to have your toes lifted toward your shin. That's stretching the back of that leg. Stretching those back of the leg muscles, your calf muscles, right? Could be up into the upper part of your leg, your hamstring muscles up above. So breathe in, breathe out. Again, reaching as far as is comfortable for you. Now, you might notice, like I do, I can get a little farther on this side. I can get down like pretty close to my ankle. On the other side, I was maybe halfway down my shin, and that was it. My legs said no more. Breathe in, breathe out. And then slowly come all the way up. Excellent. All right, let's just kind of run in place a little bit. And running on your toes, right? So just livening up those feet a bit. All right, and then press your feet down into the floor. Sit up nice and tall, shoulders over your hips. Good. So maintaining this posture, it might be helpful to have your hands right here alongside your hips on the chair. You can press down a little bit. If you press down a little bit, that just helps support your spine. Pull your belly in. Going to breathe as we bend and extend the knees one at a time. So we're going to do the right side first, just bending and extending. Now as you extend, see how straight you can get that knee? Can you really get it nice and straight? And then as you bend, can you pull that heel underneath the chair? Like get it as close to the bottom of the chair as you can. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. And the slower you go, the more you have to use your muscles, right? When you move quickly, you're using momentum. You're using more of the connective tissue in your body. When you go slow, you're actually using your muscles a little bit more, so you're getting a little stronger in the muscles. So the next time you extend, can you hold here and breathe? Notice your posture. Have you lost it a little bit? Press into your hands, and then we're going to rotate the leg in and out. Now, if you're working with a hip issue or a knee issue, you can have this foot, this heel on the floor and rotate that way. You can also just have the leg nice and low, right? So the higher the foot is off the floor, the more of a challenge it is for your thigh muscles, the more of a challenge it is for your hip flexor muscles. But we don't want to sacrifice the back. Like I can get my foot way up here, but look at my back. I don't want to do that. I want to have my back nice and strong. Okay, how we doing? 78. 79, 80. Let's drop that down. Wow. Okay, so give that leg a little massage there. Feeling the front of the front of the thigh there. All right, and then once again, feet flat on the floor, shoulders over hips, belly in a little bit, relaxing the neck and the shoulders. Bring the hands to the chair, and then left side, we're just going to bend and extend on that left side. So same thing. How slowly can you go? And when you bring your heel under the chair, can you lift your knee up a little bit? Right? So that's a little different than just bending. Right? So it might be a little more of a challenge. If it's too much, you can always just tap. Right? So you can go in and out and tap that foot. And one side is often stronger than the other. And the next time that you extend, we're going to hold there, and then we're going to rotate that leg in and out, in and out. Breathing in, breathing out. So again, the higher you lift, the harder this is. We're going to lift that leg up now. Hold your toes toward your shin. Hold, hold, hold. Breathing in, breathing out. And then lower back down. Good. All right. Hands come to your, oh, actually, let's give that leg a little massage. Okay, so we're working our way up. So we're going to do a little bit more work with the hips. So if you want to scoot over to the right side of your chair. And then we're just going to use the heel and toes and kind of wiggle walk that leg out and then wiggle walk it back in. If you're not in the right position, reposition yourself. You might want to just hold on to the chair with your left hand so that you don't slide off. I always feel a little more secure knowing where the edge of that chair is. Next time you've got your foot kind of behind you a little bit, we're going to hold there and then just drop the knee forward and pull it back. So drop it forward and pull it back. If this is too much, you can walk your foot in a little bit closer, right? So we want to have this nice little pivot at the hip. So can you feel that pivot at your hip? Yeah. So breathe in, breathe out as you're doing this. And again, if you've got a hip that is just a little cranky, just don't go so far with this, right? You might just do a little bit of movement. So it's always good to, when we feel some discomfort, quite often we'll stop moving. Right? It's like I feel that discomfort, I'm going to stop moving. Or I shouldn't do that because, that could make this worse. There is always movement in a pain-free range that we can explore, even if it's this much. That's not a lot of movement, but guess what? That's what's available to me. I'm going to use it. So moving in and moving out here with the hip. This is rotating that leg bone, your femur. It's rotating the leg bone in the hip socket. So it's getting a little bit of movement in there. Okay, so let's pull the knee toward the back wall and walk that foot out as far as it will go. So we've got the knee moving toward the back wall, the foot is back as far as it'll go, and if you're facing the wall with the TV, you've turned your torso. I want you to be facing me with your body, not just your, so I don't want you to be doing this. I want you to have your body facing me, right? So we're really trying to pose a challenge for the hip joint. Again, if this is as far as your leg will go, that's fine, right? So we just want to provide the challenge. And for each of us, it's going to be a little bit different. Okay, so you're pulling your knee toward the back wall. You can take your right hand and just kind of rest it here on the leg, and then take your left hand, reach behind you on the chair. See if you can find where the back of the chair and the seat of the chair meet. And then we're going to twist to the left. So how much of you can twist that way, right? So can your neck twist? Can your shoulders twist? Can your upper back or your mid back or even your low back twist? So how much of you can be involved in this twist? And can you breathe easily as you're in this twist? Or is it so challenging that when you come into the twist, you're kind of holding your breath or your breath is getting very shallow? So let's unwind a little bit. Good. And then relax that leg so you're not pulling your knee toward the back wall. Use your heel and toes. We're going to walk that foot in. Come right back into the center of your chair. And then extend your legs. And notice if your right leg is longer than your left leg. Yeah. Wild, right? So we got a little bit more room, a little bit more length in that leg, more space in the joints perhaps, but more than that, we've just got muscles and tissue that said, oh, I can kind of let that go. All right, so go over to your left side because now we don't want to be uneven, right? So we're going to do the same thing using heel and toes, walk the leg out and walk the leg back. And just kind of exploring. So again, just get your position on the chair where you don't feel like you're going to fall off, but also when you come out, it doesn't like, for those of us with shorter legs, sometimes the chair feels like it's cutting right into the back of my leg, so I need to go out a little bit more. Okay, and then somewhere between fully in the front and fully to the side, somewhere in that middle range, we're going to hold there, and then we're just going to go in and out with that knee. Okay? So breathing in, breathing out. Now notice if this leg, if you have more rotation ability in this leg, or if you have less rotation ability in this leg, or maybe you're not noticing much of a difference at all, right? So if you have aftermarket parts in this hip, it's going to move differently than the other one, or in the other hip, right? So your original parts move differently. Okay, so the next time that you have your knee out, we're going to pull that knee toward the back wall, walk your back foot back as far as it'll go. Now, if you're looking at the kitchen, you're turning too far with your torso. I'm going to have you twist from the waist so that you can face me here. So it should be presenting a little bit of a challenge. Should be a little challenge. Shouldn't be just like, oh, this is so easy. So you're going to take your left hand now and just kind of place it on that leg. This is just a reminder to the leg, right? So your hand is going to tattle on your knee if it comes forward. It's going to let you know. So you're pulling your knee toward the back wall. Your hand is here. Going to take that right hand, walk it around, find where the back of the chair and the seat of the chair meet. You're just going to have your hand resting there and then twist to the right. And as you're twisting to the right, how much of you, what parts of you are twisting to the right? Is it just your neck and your head? Is it your shoulders too? Can you get your upper back in there? Can you get your waist in there? Just notice what parts of you are able to help turn you around in your chair here. Breathing in, breathing out. So that's important too. So I might be able to really crank into this twist a little bit farther, but if I can't breathe smoothly, if I'm feeling like restricted in my breathing, I want to just back off a little bit, just until I can feel it's fairly comfortable. And then unwind and come back. Excellent. Let's relax that leg. Use your heel and your toes. Walk that foot around. We'll come back to the center of the chair. Let's do a leg length check. So point your toes, extend your legs. Hopefully we're at the same length again. Yeah? Anybody longer on that left side now? No? Good. All right. So let's take that right leg now. We're going to cross it over the left. So if you can cross your knee on top of your knee, that's the preferred way to do it because we're trying to get into this upper hip and this side of the hip and upper leg. If that's just not available for you, you can cross at your ankle. So what we're going to do here is lengthen through the spine. And as you lengthen through your spine, this position may be just about it for you. You might be noticing a stretch in through the hips and the back. If you would like a little bit more of a stretch, you're going to lean forward like you're trying to bring your belly button onto your knee. Right? So that looks like this. So I'm trying to bring my belly button onto my knee. And then you're just going to come back up. So we're going to do this movement forward and back a few times. So let's breathe as we do this. So we're coming forward, maybe exhaling, maybe inhaling. This bottom foot, so the left foot, is directly under your knees. Okay? So I don't want your leg way out. I want to have that foot underneath your knees so that you've got that support when you're coming back up. You're pushing into that foot and that's helping you come back up, right? So see how far forward you can go. Hang out there for a couple. So as you're here, notice what parts of you are working to keep your back nice and strong. Are you pressing into your left foot? Imagine you were standing on that left foot right now. Right? So what does that feel like? Can you press into the tripod of that foot? Remember the tripod, the heel, the big and little toe ball mounts. Can you press into the bottoms of your toes? Right? So once again, the knee is bent so your foot is directly under the knee. And we're breathing in and breathing out. Now can you lean farther forward? Can your belly come down a little bit more? Again, breathing in, breathing out. If you're looking up here and you're cranking your neck, see if you can bring your gaze down at your toes. That will keep your neck nice and long. And look if your toes are holding on for dear life. Right? Are the left toes, are they like gripping the floor? Yeah, see if you can relax that gripping a little bit. They can press down, but if you're seeing creases in your toes, you're pressing a little too hard maybe. Breathe in, breathe out. Can you go a little deeper? Can you get a little farther forward? So we might be feeling this in the legs, the hips, the back. And then using your hands, now if your hands are on your lap, you're just going to push into your hands and push into that left foot and lift yourself up. So we're using less of the back muscles and more of all of this. It's kind of like a group effort to get us up, right? Okay, so let's uncross the legs and cross the other way. So we have left over right. Once again, checking in with yourself so you know your body. If this is what's available to you at the ankle, I'm going to ask you to stay there. If not, come up over the knee. So you're going to have this right foot directly underneath your knee, right? So lifting up nice and tall. And I'm going to do this one with my legs crossed at the ankle. So thinking once again about your navel, not about bringing your nose down to your knee, and bending like that little shrimp spine, but you're keeping your spine nice and long. And then we're going to come forward and keep pressing into the toes and the heel and the balls of that right foot. Breathing in, breathing out, and then coming back up. So we're testing it first, right? So how far forward is the right amount on this side? Maybe it's the same as the other side, or maybe it's different. Ow. Right? So as I come forward, maybe I can come farther forward on this side, or maybe I was able to come farther forward on the other side. Good. And then the next time that you come forward, I'm going to have you stay there. And again, notice, so if you're kind of looking up at me and the back of your neck is really short, I'm going to have you look down at your toes. If you're checking out the lint in your belly button right now, you're looking a little too far down. So again, look at your toes, right? We'll check belly button lint later. So as you're pressing down into that right foot, are your toes scrunching into the floor? Can you relax your toes a little bit? Breathing in, breathing out. And as you're breathing in, breathing out, notice your shoulders and your arms, and maybe you can come farther forward. Maybe you can actually get the belly down a little closer to the thigh or on the thigh. Inhaling and exhaling, right? And coming farther forward still, right? So the more we can get into this position, we feel the stretch in the hip, we feel the stretch in the backs of the legs, might be feeling it in the foot. Right? I think of this position like, say, one of your grandchildren is showing you something really interesting on the ground, right? You're sitting down, the ants that are walking around. Yes, exactly. So look down at those ants. All right, and then let's press into the right foot, and we're going to press into the hands if they're on your lap, and you're going to use those auxiliary muscles to come up a little bit. Excellent. Let's uncross the legs. Bring your hands to your thighs. Close your eyes for a moment if that's comfortable, or drop your gaze down at the floor. Just taking in a couple of breaths. Noticing your legs, noticing your hips. Noticing your back, your belly, your waist. Taking in a breath, and another little breath, and let it out with a sigh. Eyes can open. All right, we got one more thing for the hips, you guys. We're going to take that right ankle, cross it on top of the left knee. If this doesn't work for you, ankle on ankle is just fine, right? So we're going to do the same thing, which is that forward movement, and just explore. It's going to be a very different feeling, right? So this is one feeling in the hips. This is going to be a whole different feeling in the hips. So whether you're crossed at the ankle or on top of the knee, have your left foot directly under your left knee. So you don't want it out to the side. You don't want it way out in front. You don't want the toes turned out or turned in. You want to have that foot nice and straight, okay? So from here, we're going to just hinge forward and then come back, right? So again, if this works for you, I want you to have your ankle crossed up here. If that doesn't work for you, you can have your ankle crossed down here. So we're just exploring, what does that feel like? Is it different than the other side? Good. Come forward. Come as far forward as you can. Belly onto the thigh almost, right? So for those who have their ankle crossed on their knee, you're going to be feeling a whole lot more in your hip than you were when you had your knee on top of your knee. For those of us who have ankle on ankle, it might be a very similar stretch to what we just did. And then we're going to press down into that foot and come all the way up. Excellent. Uncross, recross the other way so we can get that ankle on top of the knee or ankle on top of ankle. I'll do ankle on knee on this side. So sitting up nice and tall, make sure your foot is directly under your knee and your toes are facing forward, and spread your toes out a little bit. That's the other thing too. Want to make your foot as big as it can be on the floor. The larger the footprint, not to be punny, but the larger the footprint, the more stability you have in that foot. So we're just going to come forward and back. And again, keeping the spine nice and tall. Just notice where you're feeling it. It might be in the hip, it might be in the leg, it might be in the back. You might be feeling it into the shin, around the knee. If you're feeling it in your neck or your jaw, that means you're leading with your neck and your jaw. So I'm going to ask you to relax that. This is a lower body kind of experience. And then the next time you come forward, you're going to stay in that forward position and breathe a little bit here. So that left foot, if you can activate the foot by bringing the toes toward the shin, you might get more out of the stretch. All right, so if you can feel those muscles, feel your back lengthening. Breathing in, breathing out. Everybody's looking good. Great. And then slowly come all the way up. Excellent. Let's uncross that leg, bring the foot to the floor. Place your hands on your thigh, sitting up nice and tall, close your eyes. Taking some nice full breaths in and out. Just notice your hips and your legs. Notice your back. Notice your knees, your ankles, your feet. Let's take a breath in and another breath in and let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes open, going back to your natural breath. We're going to come back up to the upper body again, so let's roll those shoulders a couple of times. And roll in the opposite direction. So notice if your shoulders are a little noisy. Yeah? A little crunching in there, crackling, snapping noises, all kinds of good stuff. So bring your shoulders into kind of a neutral position, so your shoulder tops are down away from your ears a little bit. And you're sitting up nice and tall with the shoulders right above the hips. So we're going to take the chin, actually find the notch in your collarbones. So take your finger or fingers and just notice your collarbones come in. You find a little bump there, and then there's a little notch in the collarbones. So what we're going to do is take the chin and see if you can get the chin into your notch. So that's a down and kind of up and back movement, right? Got that? So it's kind of, do that a few times. It should feel very strange in the front of your throat. For many people, not for everybody. So the next time you do that, I'm going to ask you to hold and swallow. And then release. Take a breath in and out. Good. We're going to try that a couple more times. So the swallowing part of that can feel really restrictive, and you might feel a little bit of anxiety when you try to swallow there. So if that's the case, just don't tuck quite so much. We're just going to keep testing this a little bit. We're going to get used to that sensation in the throat, to be swallowing when the throat is a little bit in that closed position. So whenever you're ready, we're going to do this several times. So whenever you're ready, you're just going to take your chin, tuck it in like you could nestle it right in the notch of the collarbones there. And then give yourself a little swallow. And then release that. Good. We'll do that just a few more times. So you can go at your own pace. If I'm going too fast and it's making you feel a little bit anxious, just go a little bit slower. So again, bringing the chin in toward the notch of the collarbones. Breathing in and breathing out. So don't hold your breath while you're swallowing. You're going to give one swallow. And then release. Couple of breaths. You want to make sure you feel like you can get a deep breath. And then how about one more time? Just tuck that chin like it's in the notch of the collarbones, breathing in, breathing out. Little swallow. And then come all the way back to kind of your neutral position. Okay, relax your shoulders. Close your eyes. Breathe in, breathe out, and bring all of your attention into the front of your neck, your throat, in other words. So you're going to really feel what's happening in your throat. And swallow. And breathe. We'll give another little swallow. And breathe. And one more little swallow. And breathe. And let your eyes gently open. So now you're going to turn your head to the right. Turn your head to the right as far as it'll go. And now imagine bringing your chin down onto your shoulder. So you get your head turned to the right and you're bringing your chin to your shoulder. And then lift up, come back to center. And we're going to go to the left. So we're just taking the head, turning it to the shoulder, and then bringing the chin down as if you could rest your chin right on the edge of your shoulder. And then coming back up to it, that neutral position, not lifting high, but neutral. Come back to center. Okay, so that's the movement. And we're going to do this and add that swallow piece as well. Okay, the same thing that we did when we had the chin tucked into the collarbones. So let's go to the right. So we're turning just the head to the right, drop the chin to the shoulder, and give a little swallow. And then it comes back to kind of neutral, back to the center. Let's just pause here for a moment and just give a little swallow. So again, take your time. If I'm going too fast, I want you to slow it down. And then go over to the left side, same thing. So we're looking out over the left shoulder, bring the chin down toward the shoulder, little swallow. Coming back up to neutral position, back to that central position. And once again, a little swallow whenever it's comfortable. And then relax, close your eyes, breathing in, breathing out. Notice the sensations in your throat. Notice the sensations in the sides of your neck. And in the back of your neck. Taking a breath, another little breath in, and then out with a sigh. Eyes gently open. Drop your right ear to your right shoulder. We're going to hang out here for a little bit. So with your ear on your shoulder, take your left hand and remove it from your lap. Just let it kind of hang down by your side. So we're just letting this ear rest on the shoulder. And the shoulder is not coming up to meet the ear. The shoulder is staying down, but the ear is trying to get a little closer to the shoulder. So as your ear is getting a little closer to your shoulder, see if you can reach your left fingers toward the floor. Right, so we're engaging arm muscles a little bit here. Breathing in, breathing out. So as you're reaching your fingers toward the floor, right, or you're actually lengthening that arm. That's what we're doing. You're reaching your fingers to the floor, you're lengthening the arm. So we're going to keep the arm length, but we're going to lift the arm out to just about shoulder height. Keep your ear on your shoulder, and then slowly lower down. All right? So that's the whole movement. Don't go higher than shoulder height, and then lower down. Keep reaching and lengthening through the arm so the ear stays on the shoulder. And the next time you lift your arm, I'm going to ask you to bring your ear closer to your shoulder. Keep the ear where it is. Don't let your head lift. And we're going to bring that arm down. And one more time, we're going to lift that arm, bring the ear closer to the shoulder, and then lower that arm. Don't let your head come up. Good. Take that hand back to your lap. So you got both hands on your lap. Your ear is on your shoulder. Breathing in, breathing out. Notice if your ear is a little closer to your shoulder. And then we're going to lift the head up. Now, as you lift the head up, take a moment. Notice that your left side, the left side of your neck, feels longer than the right side of your neck, right? It probably feels like your head is on crooked, right? It's kind of on this little canted thing. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So take that ear, that would be the left ear, to the left shoulder. Okay, so you got the left ear on the left shoulder. Drop your right arm. So you get the arm just kind of hanging down. So the first part of this is just to relax the neck muscles, because you know the neck muscles, they're so used to holding your head up. It's like somewhere between 8 and 11 pounds is your head. That's a lot of weight for your shoulders to be holding up. So the first part is just to let the muscles relax on their own, because you can't force them to relax. Reach your right fingers toward the floor. Keep that left ear on the left shoulder as close as it can be, right? And then we're just going to keep extending that arm as we lift up and down. Now, I didn't say this on the other side, but if this is pinching your shoulder, like out here at all, you can turn your palm up. That's okay. So whatever works for you. So we're just slowly lowering and lifting, and the whole time you're lengthening that arm. Now, the next time that arm gets up, we're going to hold here. Just briefly, bring your left ear closer to your shoulder. Good. Keep the ear where it is as you lower the arm. So don't let your head lift off your shoulder. Again, slowly raise that arm. Hold it there just for a moment. See if you can get your left ear closer to your shoulder. And then slowly lower that arm down. Good. Hold here. Breathe in, breathe out. Take that hand back to your lap. Slowly lift your head. And notice if your neck feels the same length now on the left side and the right side. Notice if you feel like you have a little more space between your ears and your shoulder tops. You've got that nice long neck. So finding a comfortable seated position now. If you want to sit into the back of your chair, you can do that. Close your eyes. Let your hands rest where they're comfortable. Let your feet be on the floor. So try not to have your legs crossed. You want to have your feet on the floor or on your block if you're on a block. You just want to feel the contact of your feet on the floor. Now, if you're a little bit shorter and your feet don't touch the floor when you sit into the back of your chair, well, that's how it is. So with your eyes closed, turn your attention back to your breath. Notice the way air is moving in and out of your body. Breathing in and out through your nose, if that's at all possible. And as you're breathing in and out, direct your attention into your throat. Are you more aware of the air as it passes through your windpipe? Through your trachea, that's your windpipe. It's also your food pipe. So breathing in and breathing out. Are you a little more aware of the way that the air moves in through your throat? And can you feel expansion and contraction from navel to collarbones? Notice your heightened sense of hearing as you breathe. Perhaps a heightened sense of your physical body. Feeling of being more present, more here in this moment, in this room. And then bring your hands up to your chest. Breathing in, breathing out. See if you can feel the rise and fall of your chest underneath your hands. Take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. Ah. And then if you'd like, you can open your eyes, maybe bring your hands together, maybe just a acknowledgement of all these wonderful people here in the room this morning. Good. Yeah. Great. All right. You're welcome. Enjoy your day. Happy 4th of July, everybody.